Grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life features stories to inspire and motivate you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Visit cyacyl.com.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Finding joy in daily life is not always an easy task. It requires a conscious decision and a lot of hard work. External pressures, internal voices, and joy stealers can wreak havoc on our emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. Today's guest, Bonnie St. John, has struggled throughout her life to find her joy. Bonnie lives her joy despite challenges including the amputation of her right leg, child abuse, divorce, and single motherhood. She defeated those challenges and went on to win silver and bronze medals as a ski racer in the 1984 Paralympics, to graduate from Harvard, to win a Rhodes Scholarship to Oxford, and to receive an appointment from Bill Clinton to the White House National Economic Council. Bonnie's the author of 5 books and is a speaker, television and radio personality, business owner, and mother. NBC Nightly News calls Bonnie one of the 5 most inspiring women in America. She's been featured extensively in both national and international media, including The Today Show, CNN, CBS Morning News, NBC News, and The New York Times, as well as People, O, and Essence magazines. Bonnie's co-authored her new book, How Great Women Lead, with her teenage daughter, Darcy. Hi, Bonnie. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Joan, this is great. Actually, it's funny. I want to immediately take issue with something you said. You said finding joy is a lot of hard work. And it actually doesn't have to be a lot of hard work. Do you want me to give you an example?
Absolutely.
So tell me something that made you feel joyful, or can you remember feeling joyful recently?
Coming to work. I love what I do.
What does it feel like when you're coming to work?
It's amazing for me because you don't know this about me, but my listeners do. This is the result of a transformation at the age of 46. I had that aha moment when I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who I was. I had completely lost sense of myself in raising my family and being the perfect wife. And in doing that, I didn't know what I was able to accomplish any longer. And I had this idea, and this literally cost me my marriage. In that year, Bonnie, my mom and my sister passed away. My oldest child left for college. So I began this incredible transformation at 46. And to be sitting here right now talking to you is just a testament of what I've been able to achieve in 3 years. So this is what I have so much joy about.
Wow. So you're so proud of yourself of what you've overcome. And I can't even, you can say it all in 3 sentences. And I'm just sitting here reeling, going, I can't even imagine that. You lose your mother, your sister, your marriage, and you rise from the ashes and are inspiring other people. So that's amazing. So when you talk about that, how does it feel? I mean, you can feel it in your whole body, right? That you feel joyful just talking about it.
Absolutely. Right? I can talk about it for hours and never be tired of it. It's what I do 24/7.
When we say it's how hard is it to have joy, is, first of all, I feel more joyful just listening to what you said, and you feel more joyful talking about it. So we have joy that's accessible, that easy. All you have to do is turn to your coworker. If you know that time when you're starting a meeting and people are gathering around the table, turn to other people and say, hey, tell me one thing that brought you joy recently. They will start telling you things, and you will feel more joyful. They will feel more joyful. Have you ever noticed when you're at work, you never have to ask people to complain? You know, hey, can you guys complain a little bit for me? But to actually stop and ask people, say, tell me something that brings you joy. It changes the air. It changes the energy. And it's simple. It's quick.
Bonnie, when did you learn this? Because to back up for a moment, I mentioned in the introduction, you've really overcome some major obstacles. I mean, you talk about me. I can't even comprehend what you've gone through. You've lost your leg when you were a young child. What led up to that? What made the doctors amputate your right leg?
Well, it was a birth defect. When I was born, my legs looked normal, but I was missing a growth center in my thigh, and so my leg didn't grow. My thigh is still only about 4 inches long. And so it was fine, but the bigger I got, the more difference there was. I had orthopedic shoes and braces, and finally the doctors convinced my mother they really needed to amputate my legs so I could wear an artificial leg, which is what I do now, and I get around. So I've had an artificial leg for many, many years, and became an athlete.
I wanted to ask you about that. Recently I had Jim Abbott on the show, and Jim pitched a no-hitter for the New York Yankees, and he was born without a right hand. And I asked him, why a pitcher? I have to ask you, why a skier? Why a sport that was so dependent on leg strength?
Well, it turns out that there's a very vibrant circuit of amputees that ski. So I was racing against other one-legged women. It was a fair fight. For me, now we see amputee runners, but a lot of the runners you see who are amputees, they have knees. So they're amputated below the knee. If you're above the knee, running is harder. And there are people who do it, and they embarrass me, so I can't say I can't do it because there are people who do it. But I don't love running. Skiing doesn't require you to run. You know, you can ski on one leg on one ski, and you can go fast, and you can race. So a lot of one-legged people do it. And so for me, it was a chance to be in a race, to be an athlete. In high school, I was never going to make a track team. I was never going to make the swim team with one leg, competing against other people on two legs. So this was it was the first time I heard of a vibrant circuit that I could compete on. And at the time, I wasn't aware of any track or swimming events. It was earlier on. Now you see it everywhere, but at the time, I didn't know that there was any possibility of that.
Now, Bonnie, we're talking about being an athlete and overcoming that challenge. And for someone who's sitting home saying, yeah, sure, okay, athletics, big deal, but you overcame child abuse. How were you able to ever get out from under that and go on to achieve the type of success that you have in life?
Well, it's funny. The book that we're talking about today, Live Your Joy, I wrote it because people kept asking me. They said, you had your leg cut off. You went through all this painful therapy to learn how to walk again. You were sexually abused as a child. Your father left before you were born. You were divorced, a single mother. You should be an axe murderer by now.
Or at least a drug addict, right?
And there were times I was tempted.
Yeah.
But so I wrote the book Live Your Joy to really share with people, these are the things I did and I learned to overcome, to choose joy on a daily basis. And healing from the abuse in my childhood is probably one of the hardest things I really had to do, because it is so painful on an emotional level. There's physical pain of learning to walk again, but the emotional pain is so intense. You really, the temptation to drink or run away or something, is so intense. And it really came up for me when I had a daughter who was the same age as I was when I was being abused. So I had shut away a lot of the feelings for most of my life, but to be a mother and have to care and be open and tender and vulnerable with this little child and not deal with the memories was impossible. So for me, what came up is, if I want to be a mom, I've got to deal with the bad stuff. And so that gave me the strength to do it. I wish that I had done it before I became a mom, that I had cleaned up the emotional mess, but I don't think I would have had the strength to do it.
Bonnie, a moment ago, you and I just joked about axe murderer or drug addict, and it's not funny because that is how people deal with pain in life. But you figured out a way to take your pain and take your challenges and use them as a fuel to provide the determination and the motivation to go on to these successes later on in life. Have you adopted the philosophy now that nothing can stop you?
Oh, no. I think that would be hazardous. I know some motivational speakers take that view, is sort of, burn the boats behind you. There's one thing, you have to do it and stick to it. I don't know that that's a joyful life. For me, I write about having a portfolio of goals. Just like you would have you don't invest all your money in one thing and say, this is it, that would be crazy. You look at your time and your talent and your treasure, and you have many dreams in your portfolio. And if something is working, maybe you invest more in it. But if something's not working so much, maybe you cut back your investment. And, I wrote a children's book once. I've never published a children's book. There's lots of things that I don't necessarily push forward. I have many dreams, and I work on them in different ways, and I do what makes the most sense. I think sometimes it makes sense to cut your losses and move on to something else. Don't you?
I do, and what I do now is I've kind of adopted this philosophy that I'm going to just give anything a try, because if it doesn't work out, so what? And like you said, you just move on to something else. You don't dwell on what didn't go the way you wanted it to go. You learn from it and move on.
And you don't have to beat yourself up. If you have a portfolio of goals and dreams, then you don't have to beat yourself up just because one didn't work out.
Bonnie, from where do you derive your strength? What is the role of faith in your life?
Oh, my faith is really important to me. When I was going through the healing from abuse that I was talking about, I did many things. I went to therapy, I did yoga, I took long walks. But for me, the prayer, and I really learned a lot about prayer at that time and really embraced prayer, that gave me the strength to keep doing the things I needed to do. I don't know without prayer that I would have had the strength to stick in doing the work.
Bonnie, this is probably going to be one of the quickest interviews I've ever conducted. We need to take a break. When we return, I'm going to continue my discussion with Bonnie St. John. This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life now has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox. Each month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide the information that you need to inspire and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. As philosopher Francis Bacon said, knowledge is power. Use the wisdom provided in the publication and apply it to your everyday life. Visit cyacyl.com for more information or to begin your free subscription. That's cyacyl.com. Welcome back to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman, and our guest today is Bonnie St. John, author, speaker, television and radio personality, and business owner. Bonnie's new book, How Great Women Lead, was co-authored with her daughter, Darcy. Bonnie, I just mentioned that you have a new book out, and that's entitled How Great Women Lead. And I would assume that for this book, you had the opportunity to interview some really remarkable women. Who are some of the women that are featured in your new book?
Oh my gosh, we did we talked to Hillary Clinton. We went out and sat with Condoleezza Rice at Stanford. The chairman of Deloitte, the head of a movie studio in Hollywood. But early on, when I was talking to my daughter and saying, hey, let's do this book, one of the first things she said was, Mom, if you just do famous politicians, we also did the president of Liberia. She said, if you do famous politicians and business leaders, and that's all you do, a lot of people won't feel like the book is for them. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's right. And so we also included a fighter pilot, an orchestra conductor, a fashion designer, and even a stay-at-home mom and a teenager. And talked about how women are leading in all different ways everywhere. And really, we wanted to see everybody, have everybody see themselves reflected in the women that we talked to.
Bonnie, from your research, how would you define a leader?
You know, it's interesting. We asked each of the women that. So in each chapter, you get their definition of what a leader is. If I had to pull it all together, what they say, basically they're saying leaders are people who pull the best out of other people. So if you're leading a team, it's getting that team of people to each put in their best talents, to work with each other well, and to produce the best results. And often, if given that that's true, what women leaders are doing is developing other leaders. So they're developing other people that bring out the best in other people. And that, and then you're bringing out the best in people on a large scale.
What similarities did you find among those women that you interviewed? Did they all have certain traits that predispose them to achieve greatness?
I would definitely say not, that they are so different in different ways and different personalities. And my daughter Darcy found that so inspiring because she realized when we got in the process that she had a stereotype that leaders had to be a certain way or be a certain thing. She wasn't sure that she wanted to be that thing that leaders were supposed to be. And what she saw was these women had such different personalities, and they brought their individual strengths to the table. And she thought, oh, so I can be a leader, and I can be me. I can be the best me I can be, and be a leader from that place. And in fact, that's the only way you can lead, is out of your authentic values and out of your experiences. And that's why people want to follow you and respect you. There was a Harvard Business Review article about this where they did a study trying to find the uniform traits, and they concluded there aren't any. It's leaders are unique, and they're themselves.
I find that to be very inspiring because that opens the way for anyone to go after their dream and make a mark on the world in whatever way they want to do. Because I think so often people, they look at you and they say, oh, there's something different or special about her that I don't have, and I can never do what Bonnie did. But you're telling them that really we all start out on the same playing field, and it's just whatever path we take and we bring to the table is what enables us to achieve greatness.
Exactly. And again, my faith is important to me. So why would God have created you if he wanted you to try to be like me? He would have created 3 of me's if that's what he wanted. Each person is so special that when they bring their special God-given talents, personality to the mix, and you got to work to, leverage what you have to practice. If you have a skill, you got to practice it. But bring that to the table. That's what's needed is you, not you trying to be somebody else.
Now, Bonnie, you've spoken about your teenage daughter, Darcy, and you've just written a book with her. What advice do you offer to your daughter and to other young people about being happy in life?
It's great that you asked that question, because when you were talking, too, about having a single goal and just driving forward all the time, one of the things I realized writing this book is that positive thinking isn't the same as joy. That positive thinking, you can be driven and have goals and you make things happen. And I've met people like this who are just not joyful. And I've been in that place, too. And what I realized from writing the book is that joy is now. Joy is something you just feel in the present. It isn't something's going to happen in the future that's great. And so sometimes in the midst of all your positive thinking, you need to just sit down and feel joy. Just appreciate the sunshine on your face. Sometimes it's about just sitting still and feeling something. We get to-do lists that are so long. What I came up with for myself is to say I need to make a to-feel list or add to-feel items on my to-do list. Otherwise, I just do all day and I don't feel anything.
Bonnie, I love when you use the term joy stealers, because sometimes it feels like there are an endless number of people that are out there just on a mission to steal our joy. And when we give so much of our power to the external, to other people, I think that's when we set ourselves up to have these joy stealers have so much impact on us. So how can we deal with people that are on a mission to steal our joy?
It's a tough question, and it depends on how, if you can, the simple answer is don't choose to spend so much time around them. But that isn't always possible, right? If it's your mother or your husband or your children, you can't always just say, well, don't spend time around them. One piece of advice I give to people is balance it out. That if you have one joy stealer in your life that you need to spend time with, make sure you're spending at least as much time with joy givers, joy nurturers. So cultivate a circle of friends where you can have that positivity and they can help fill you up and focus on your joy. And then you can come to the other person with a different attitude.
Bonnie, we've spoken about your faith and we've spoken about healing. What is the role of forgiveness in the healing process?
I know a lot of people talk a lot about that. I guess the forgiveness is about letting go. It's like if you're playing tug of war with somebody, it's exhausting. But if you let go of your end of the rope, then you don't have that joy stealing anymore. So I guess it's about letting go of the other end of the rope. I think for me, it's not as much of an issue. It's not something I tend to do. I don't hang on to things. I'm not still mad at my stepfather who abused me. I think I have a lot of compassion for people. I really feel sorry for them. The people who really have treated me badly because I have one leg, I just think, wow, you really live in a sad world. So I think I have a lot of compassion for people that rather than just staying angry at them.
I actually have a friend who lives by the philosophy of just 2 words. He always says, who cares? And whenever someone hurts him and he's about ready to get upset about it, he just says to himself, really, who cares? And he's able to let it go and move on. I mean, I think, I know that would be something that I need to work on. And it sounds like you've been able to really achieve that, to be able to let go and move past things.
Patricia Fripp, one of my mentors, once said, bitterness is like putting poison in your own coffee and expecting somebody else to die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
why do we stew in so much bitterness? If I want to be happy. So maybe that's part of it, too, is I don't need to feed all that anger because I don't want to live that way. That's the best revenge, is to not live that way.
And, going back to the introduction, when I said that finding joy is not always easy, and you pointed out that that's not the case, I think really to sum it up, it's just a conscious decision to say, I'm going to be happy.
And I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to let the things that other people did, their decisions or their pain or their unhealed wounds run my life. I don't want to do that. I want to live my own life. But, it's interesting because my mother used to really say, move on and don't worry about what happened in the past. And it took me a long time to learn that I did have to heal what happened in the past. I couldn't just say, oh, forget it, it didn't happen. I needed to do the work. So I don't want to make it sound cavalier, but doing the work versus dwelling on it or being bitter or being angry or blaming or, all that stuff is different.
Right. Do the work.
Do the work to let it go.
Exactly. Do the work, let it go, move on, and find your joy.
Yeah.
Bonnie, we're coming off of the Summer Olympics now, and people are, thinking about what it might have been like to be a part of that. And you experienced it. What was it like to have competed in the Olympics and just to have been a part of something that grand?
That was my dream for many years, just to make the U.S. team, never mind win medals. For me, I just wanted to be a part of it, and to be on the team, to be flying to Innsbruck, Austria is incredible. I did a blog about it on Medal Quest. I don't know if you can put a link for your listeners too. There's a website called Medal Quest about the Paralympics, and I did a blog talking about my memories of being on the team and what that felt like. And it's so much better now for the disabled athletes. They really get to use the Olympic Village and have the same uniforms and do all the things the other Olympians get to do. But so even though I had a scaled-down version of it, I was just happy to be representing the United States of America.
So, Bonnie, in addition to medalquest.com, where else can our listeners go to get more information about you?
Well, BonnieSt.John.com, there's a lot of free resources. You can download the Starbucks cup that I was quoted on, talking about winners fall down, but they get up. You can download lots of articles about the community of champions, about being a more helpable person. There's videos you can watch where I talk to some of the kinds of people, the coaches and mentors and even pastoral, spiritual guides, the kinds of people that I've talked to help me heal and grow and be more positive. There's lots of free stuff on BonnieSt.John.com. And the new book, How Great Women Lead, has its own website, which is really fun, which is HowGreatWomenLead.com. You can see pictures of all the women in the book and my teenage daughter and the media appearances we've been on recently. Today's Show, CNN, fun stuff.
And as always, you can visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on our site, listen to past shows as podcasts, read the digital magazine, sign up for our mailing list, take part in the book club, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Bonnie, in about 30 seconds or less, what is the one thing you want our listeners to remember from this interview?
That we are larger than we think. We are stronger. The human spirit is so strong. If a one-legged African-American girl from San Diego can become an international ski racer and to heal on the issues we've been talking about too, anything is possible. And we can be so much more than we think we can. So just to encourage everybody to find the greatness inside themselves, even if it means being a stay-at-home mom, being a great stay-at-home mom, being great for yourself, being great for your kids, even if it means being a CEO or head of the country, wherever you are, just be the best you can be and enjoy it.
Bonnie, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I love your energy and I love your story. You are so inspiring. I'm sitting here with a smile. I had so much fun speaking with you today, so thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you for all you're doing and spreading the good energy.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.